I see your true colors.
That's why I love you.
So don't be afraid to let them show.
Oh God, Hello everybody and welcome back to the Hunter Loves VoicePlay podcast. This one is gonna be a doozy. I just re-listened to VoicePlay's version of True Colors, and that's the song that we're gonna be talking about here today. I just re-listened to it, and I was picking up on a couple of things, so pardon me for being kind of a reactor here, but there's a specific moment, and I'll post a link in the description. At 129, the harmonies, Jesus Christ, I wasn't paying attention the first couple times I listened to it, because I was so distracted by Geoff and his low notes. So that's probably why I was kind of deaf to it. But now that I've listened to it, I'm like, oh my God. It definitely pulls a chord at myself. Yeah, when I first heard this version, not this version, but this song, rather, it was by Cyndi Lauper. That's probably the name that comes to mind when people think of True Colors. There's Artists Against, which had, I think it was like a bunch of Canadian artists. I could be wrong. They were standing up against bullying. So they did that song as like a way to stand up against bullying and raise money for charity and blah, blah, blah. So then there was that version that I came across. And then just this morning, as I'm looking it up, I found out that Phil Collins did a version too. And I'm not entirely sure if I've listened to it, but if I have, I probably cried just as much as I did with VoicePlay's version. I'm gonna be honest, because Phil Collins is one of those artists that can just make you laugh, or like make you smile, or he can make you cry profusely. And I think that's also what VoicePlay has done. So this was Lane's arrangement. Beautiful, beautiful arrangement, as I say with most of them, but this one was just... This one is like so simple, so simplistic, and just so soft. Just to describe it. Like, it's just, it's moody to a fault. It brings out the best emotions, if not, like, emotion is just like the heart of the song. Like, there's no shortage of true beauty, in it. And, the first time I listened to it, I was like, okay, well, like, how is this going to be different from Cyndi Lauper? Little did I know. I did not expect that it was going to be 5 voices just with, like, no instruments. It's going to be all a cappella. And, because I was still new into VoicePlay at the time, and, like, I was just going through and looking at, all of their stuff to, familiarize myself with them. And when I came across this one, I was like, oh my God. It broke me. It broke me in a good way that I wasn't expecting. Because I'm like, this song is powerful enough. It's powerful in its message, and it's powerful in, just for somebody like Cyndi Lauper to sing it. Because she, like, was just so gritty when she first came out with it. Like, she's just like, all that, but then to have it put in a way where it's just like, swing. I call it the swing. Not like swing is in the dance, but I call it like swing is in like kind of like you're being cradled. And it's just like a warm hug that you need. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is nice. This is tingling my ears in such a good way. But it's also just like how the vocals are stacked onto one another. And I love it for that, because it's just like you have Earl on the high end, you got Geoff in the low end, kind of a mix between the three, which is Lane, Jay, and Ellie, but also Lane takes more of the lead in this one, and good on him too, because he has such a sweet, sweet voice, and I think he really showcased that in this one. I think he really wanted to showcase it. I mean, one of the moments that really gets me is at the moment where it's in the middle, and he says, "That's why I love you," because everybody's just singing, and then there's that break. I see your true colors, and then he just goes, "That's why I love you." Just soft, smooth, and that part broke me. I was like, if I wasn't gonna cry, I'm definitely crying now. Because, oof. And the video itself is just as emotional, if not more. Because if you pay a lot of attention to it, not only are they a bunch of dudes sitting in chairs and having the camera rotate around them as they're singing this, but there are moments in there, the close-ups, of where you'll look at Geoff and you'll see him swallow. And it's one of those, like, I'm swallowing back tears. Like, I'm trying not to let them escape. I don't know if that was intended, but if it was, good on you. Because it's one of those songs that that's gonna make 5 grown men cry. But yeah, like, even from the first moment, like, once you listen to it, like, you just are transported into that, and then you're just like, oh dear. Like, it's just right at the very start. Like, you're just punched. And it's like, oh, this is just so good. Earl's high notes complement it very, very well, because he's just at the top, and he just carries it through. But Lane, specifically, I think it's 1:29 in. There's a part of Lane's voice that is sticking out in my ears now, because I was so busy listening to Geoff at that specific point, because I was listening more to Geoff, because he was more kind of in the foreground when I was hearing it. But then now that I've heard Lane, because it's Lane, Ellie, and Jay, and they're all on the word beautiful, but it's the way that Lane holds his beautiful that I was like, whoa, hang on. I did not pick up on that the first time, and that is just gorgeous. I might put it in here, I'm not sure.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I did not pick up on that the first time, and now that I have, it's like I had to play that part over and over and over and over just to get a better respect for it. But yeah, the one part that breaks me is when he says, "That's why I love you," because it's just such a simple message, and it's like I see your true colors, and that's why I love you, and it's basically, not only are they trying to like say to the message that it's like, yes, you can have your true colors show through, but the message itself is that it's like, you don't have to be alone in the world. The world can suck. It definitely can. It can be very, very dark and very, very gloomy and very gross at times. We, survive it day by day, doing the best that we can. Some people get handed a worse hand than the rest of us do, and a lot of people end up, not finding a good way out of the world, because the world has just been so cruel and so menacing to them. It's tough. I mean, I'm not going to make this about me, obviously, but, when I was growing up, I've been there. I went through hell when it was my elementary school years. It was, to the point where I would be going to see a counselor almost every week, because it was just so bad. I had tried so hard back then to fit in with society at the time, but that society was always changing. And, it's like, if you're not with, like, the ins of the year, or you're not with the most popular kids, or you're not wearing the most popular clothes, you're a weirdo. But I'm like, that's alright. I like being a weirdo. I like people looking at me and rolling their eyes and being like, oh, but like, who are they? I'm just gonna be like, hey, I'm me. You don't like it? Whatever. But through those troubling times, I grew up to be more empathetic towards people, and I grew up to be more sympathetic towards people, because I knew that it was like they were the problem and it wasn't me. I was just trying to exist in this world that people thought that I wouldn't be able to exist in, because I wasn't I wasn't cool enough. I wasn't skinny enough. I wasn't attractive. I wasn't, popular. I wasn't doing sports. I wasn't, in any of the cliques. Didn't have the best hair. Didn't have the, whatever. And it just kind of made me grow up and really say that it's like, well, hey, society can change, but it's like, I'm still just going to be me. And that's all I can be. And I will say, self-esteem, self-image issues, confidence, I still struggle with it to this day to be confident. Because that was just a never-ending reminder of just society back in those days. And, I think it's gotten worse since then because, social media has such an impact on young kids. And, it's sad that a very touchy subject, but, suicide rates have been on the up because of those types of things, because people can't find the right people to talk to, or they can't do the right things. They can't be perfect. They have to be perfect in order to exist. Perfection does not exist. It's a misconstrued belief that we have to be perfect. And there is no such thing as perfect. I hate to tell you, there is not. Everybody is flawed in some way, whether we like it or not. That's just how it is. And if you have somebody who is expecting perfection, which I deal with a lot on a daily basis, it's like, nope. It's like, there is no such thing as perfect. If you're expecting perfect, sorry, you're not going to get it. You're going to get a lot of flaws. But that's okay, because flaws are beautiful. I would rather have somebody who is totally flawed than have somebody who has an ego that they can't get it through a door. You know what I mean? Sidetracked here, but True Colors, getting back to that. It's a very short arrangement. Very, very short. I think it's about roughly 4 minutes. Almost 4 minutes. But in those 4 minutes, it's just like beautiful, beautiful harmony. Fall in love with it. I listen to that song on some of my tough days. When the day is just getting to be too much. It's like, I just need 5 minutes. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna listen to this. And then it's like, it just kind of sends me as that reminder that it's like, hey, the day is tough. But VoicePlay's here right with you. Going back to those lovely, lovely gentlemen. Blaine specifically, with this one, he really strikes a chord with a lot of people, and same with the VoicePlay in general. I've always thought of them as, very democratic. I've never actually thought of them as, Republican, not to bring any sort of, political aspect into this. But, they've just always been very accepting and very welcoming of everybody and anybody. So, they're not putting up any barriers that says hey, you can't because you're this or you're that. Just to know that they're welcomed and that they're accepting of everybody is just makes me so happy. Because it's just there are many groups out there that won't be as accepting or welcoming as for certain people, and it makes me sad, and it also makes me very mad too, because it's what makes you think you're better than anybody else? But yeah, just with True Colors, listening to it the first couple of times, it's just one of those songs that it's you can chill out to it. You can just listen to it, and then you're just this is really nice. This is just a warm hug that I think a lot of people need when times get tough. I know for me, I've listened to it a lot of times when things have gotten tough, but it's I have to stay away from it because I'm not one of those people that wants to cry, or it's I have to be in the mood to cry. And when I listen to that, I'm just oh my God. And I sent this to my supervisor, who ended up sending it to one of their family members, and they were just oh my God, that's gorgeous. And I'm isn't it though? It's so good. And then a couple days ago, she said to me, she's I watched it again, and it's I love it. And I'm it's so good. It's so good. It is just so good. If the song itself wasn't good, that arrangement is just perfect because it's just like so piled and so constructed so beautifully. And like you can hear everybody fairly clearly in this, but I think Jay really stands out in this. I mean, Earl always does because Earl was always on top, right? But with Jay, he really stands out in this one too, because I think he was kind of more of like lead vocal, but when Lane has his moments, and I wasn't paying attention, but once I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, because Lane very rarely sings. Very rarely. Like, he's always doing percussion. So when he gets a solo or two in there, I'm just always like, oh, here we go. Let dreamy sigh. But, yeah, this song is extremely powerful. And, to hear an all a cappella arrangement of it makes it even more beautiful, I think. Harmonies really stick out. And then I think, like, at the end, it really gets me because there's just like this string of oohs, and it's like a ascending scale. It goes up, and then it swings all the way down in the descent, and then it's just this beautiful ending with Geoff ending it with like soft rumble of his voice, and it just fades to black, like just perfect cinematic cliche ending, right? But it keeps you listening. And yeah, I think the first time I heard it, I'm like, what? Like, what did I just listen to? Why do I have pain in my chest? This is just, it's gorgeous. I was wiping away tears, and then just now, before I started this episode, I listened to it, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry again. It gets you. When you're not prepared for it, it gets you. So, yeah, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous job by Lane. Absolutely. He knew what he was doing when he decided to do this one. He knew what he wanted. He knew how he wanted to execute it, and he did it wonderfully. But the thing that gets me is that it's like in the other videos that they do when they're sitting in chairs, they're chained and handcuffed. So how do you go from sitting in a chair, moving through your life, and then getting chained and shackled? I don't know. That's just how Lane's brain works, and it's just like, come on, man. My biggest takeaway from this song is that doesn't matter whoever does it. It's just always that it's like you need to love yourself. When in doubt, when the world gets to be too much, you need to love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you need to start now, because life is too short. And I mean, I kind of sound like I'm channeling my inner Caesar there, but Caesar again, he's also an epitome of life, of love. I remember I messaged him the one day, and I said, I'm having a really tough day, and it's like I don't know how to handle it. And like I wasn't even expecting a response from him, but he just managed to get back to me, and he was like, I'm sorry that it's such a great day. Love yourself. Go eat some bread. And it's like, because bread is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, bread actually does sound really, really good right about now. So yeah, he's a sweetheart, Caesar. And I always hope one day that they will revisit that song and maybe put him on the lead, because his voice would just carry it on. Oh, wait. They have done it. They have done it. And it's beautiful. I actually rewatched that too yesterday. And I'm like, God, can't do it. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Video quality is absolute crap, but the sound is like, nope, can't. I can't. I think that about wraps it up for this. Thank you guys for listening. And if you're going through a rough patch and you can't find anywhere else to go, there's always numbers that you can call. 1-800-273-TALK is a good one. I'm surprised that I remember that off of memory. But yeah, if you're having suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideologies, anxiety, stress, whatever it may be, you can call that number and somebody's going to be there 24 hours a day to talk to you. You matter. You may not feel like you matter, but trust me, you do. You're a beautiful soul. And the darkness will pass eventually. And, if it doesn't, then, find the right people that are going to love you enough to bring you back into calmer skies. So, that being said, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. And, I will see you in the next one. Love you guys. Take care.